KUAM News Hotspot is presented by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
It's arguably the most famous city in the world, New York City. It's where United Airlines chose to launch its new line of upgraded amenities and services for its highly successful Polaris Business Class. Half day, everyone, and welcome to The Hub. I'm Nestor Lecanto, and as you might notice, we're not in the studio this week. We're here in New York City, the Big Apple, at the invitation of United Airlines, which is launching its first major improvement to the Polaris Business Class since it launched it 7 years ago. And we'll be talking with the Executive Vice President and Chief Commercial Officer of United, Mr. Andrew Nocella. We're going to take a real quick break, and we'll be back with that interview right after this. After thousands of hours of research, United Airlines determined that what long-haul passengers want most is relaxing sleep. So in 2016, it launched the Polaris Business Class service, what it called a sleep-enhancing lounge-to-landing experience featuring specially designed pre-departure Polaris lounges and sleep-focused front cabin service. And providing that exceptional level of relaxation and comfort has paid big dividends, says Airline Executive Vice President and Chief Commercial Officer Andrew Nocella. But he says it's time to step it up a notch.
Since launching Polaris many years ago, we decided there was time for a refresh, in particularly with the products that we put on board to make that sleep experience the best it can be on a long-haul flight around the world. And so today we're exploring our new blankets and covers and pillows, and the new amenity kit we put on board with our fabulous partners from Therabody and Saks Fifth Avenue.
As we understand it, one of the key services that the Polaris is designed to provide is sleep. Can you elaborate on that?
Well, you know, traveling across the globe can be pretty taxing on one's body. And so when we designed Polaris, we thought about sleep from the start of the trip to the end of the trip to make it as comfortable as possible, and so you could get rest. So when you land on the ground, wherever you may be going, for that business meeting or that honeymoon or that vacation, you're ready to go. And so sleep is ever so important as you're traveling across all these time zones. And the amenities that we're putting on board today are going to make sure that everybody can get a good night's rest.
And you have some partners, Saks Fifth Avenue, Therma. Can you talk about that?
We have the best partners. You know, Therabody, in terms of a brand today, we couldn't pick a better partner in terms of wellness and combining that with the sleep products that they have. So we're really excited. And of course, Saks Fifth Avenue has been with us from the start on this with the best bedding in the sky. You read any survey, you can conclude immediately that United Airlines just has the best of it on board. In particular, we have our gel pillow, which is very popular with the travelers. So you're actually getting 2 pillows every time you board on United's Polaris, and it just makes that whole experience so much better and so much more comfortable.
In the 7 or so years that since United launched the Polaris, are you happy with how it has turned out?
Oh, we couldn't be happier. It's, you know, the rollout always takes a little bit longer than you would intend with pandemics and other crazy things happening in the middle of all that. But here we are on the other side. All of our airplanes are equipped with the same Polaris suite today on our wide-body jets. We now have a refreshed amenities on board. We couldn't be happier, and our customers, I think, love the product. And we're flying it around the world like no other airline does.
You mentioned the pandemic. I wanted to ask you, when the pandemic was at its height, there was a lot of talk about pent-up demand. And so when the pandemic was over, the airline industry, which had been, pretty much devastated during the pandemic, would rebound. Have we reached that point where the airline industry and United in particular has recovered?
We've fully recovered at this point. Our margins are at the high point from where we were versus pre-pandemic. Our airplanes are full. The pandemic was hard on everybody, and particularly all of travel and tourism. There's no doubt about that. Felt the brunt of that. But here we are on the other side of that, and we're prospering in a way that maybe was hard to imagine back in 2020, but I think we are. And people are ready to go out and explore the world. I think that's what we learned. And I can tell you right now, the biggest demand surge we're seeing is actually across the Pacific. The Pacific opened probably last in our terms, and as a result, the Pacific is just booming, and we're ready to expand across the Pacific this fall in a way we've never done before, with the most flights ever to Asia, and also the most flights ever to the South Pacific, to Australia, and to New Zealand.
I'm glad you mentioned Pacific, because that segues perfectly into my next question. I understand that United is interested in some slots at Haneda. Talk about that and why that's important for the airline.
Sure, Haneda, we've long served Narita. I think most of us have flown in and out of Narita, but Haneda is the downtown Tokyo airport, as I think many of your followers are aware of. But we've been unable to fly as many Haneda flights as we want. And there's a number of airlines in the United States that are not using their rights to fly to Haneda. The US government's given them a few more, actually the deadline's the end of this month, to use them, and we've asked the government to reallocate those slots so that we can begin a flight from Houston to Haneda, and of course from Guam to Haneda, which would be, I think, the first time Guam has had Haneda service on United Airlines. We couldn't be more excited. We'll have to work with the US government to make that happen, but we'd like to start flying before the end of the year.
Yeah, and final question, can you just maybe reach out to Guam, potential Guam passengers, and tell them about how important it would be to get the Haneda route?
Yeah, the Haneda connection to Guam, I think, it is just going to, I think, buoy tourism to the island. We'll probably have to fly our biggest aircraft on it before you know it. And it's just, I think it's really important, United, but it's really, we're partners in tourism with the island, and I think together, if we can make this happen, everybody will be better off, and I think it'll be a big boom for the tourism on Guam.
In fact, United is betting big on the future of the travel industry, as Nocella also announced that they've ordered more than 100 new planes for delivery between the years 2028 and 2030. Vice President for International Network Planning Matt Stevens says many of those aircraft will be flying across our Asia-Pacific skies.
This has been a very, very important year for the Pacific and United. If you look back, oftentimes we have big summer announcements where we'll announce a lot of new routes across the Atlantic. This past year we had two separate moments where we had a big Pacific expansion. First announcing the Southern Pacific expansion into Australia and New Zealand, and then more recently the Northern Pacific. We call it the Northern Pacific expansion, with more flying into Hong Kong, into Taipei, into Tokyo, Narita. And so when we look at it just more holistically, the Pacific is one of the things that we think is a differentiator for United, and given where we are today, something that we want to continue to expand going forward. So more to come this upcoming winter, and we're looking more and more at things that we can do across the Pacific as well.
And is it demand driven? Is that why you're...
It is. It's demand driven. It's also just, we believe we have the best position in the US when you look at our hub footprint. So if we see demand coming back, and like Japan's a great example, Japan hadn't come back for a period, but with the reopening this past May, we saw an uptick, and we saw that demand was coming. And so we were able to deploy assets and deploy the aircraft effectively to capture that demand. And we believe, like I said, just with our hub footprint, particularly on the West Coast in San Francisco and LA, as well as our other hubs, that we're well positioned to do so.
And you mentioned Japan. I understand that United is interested in some slots.
Absolutely.
At Haneda. Talk about that.
Yeah, so right now from continental US, we have 5 flights into Narita and 5 flights into Haneda, but working closely with our partners ANA and just looking at it's very, very difficult to find new slots into Haneda. And so when other airlines aren't utilizing those slots, we're raising our hands and saying we have a use for them, trying to actually add both from the continental US with the new Houston flight, as well as from Guam. So taking one of those flights from Guam Narita and transitioning it to Haneda, because that would give us an opportunity to serve Guam from both Tokyo airports.
Can you talk about the approval process? Is that DOT, and how far along is it?
Yeah, so it's a little TBD right now, because we put in our application and requested it. So now we're in a little bit of a waiting game to see, DOT needs to respond, and we also need to wait to see if other carriers are going to object or file something themselves. Because if they do, then we may go down a route case where we have to explain why for Houston and for Guam it's the best use of those limited slots into Haneda. So we'll find out more in the next few weeks, but we're very excited about the prospect, and think that for United, for our customers, for the U.S. In more broadly, it's the it's the right decision to be made to add more United metal into Haneda.
Yeah, and finally, sticking with the Pacific, I understand that there's going to be a new Manila to San Francisco direct flight.
Yes. Manila's the one that I missed earlier, so thank you for that. Manila is something we've been looking at for 4 years. We've been requesting, and it's just been really, really difficult to get the slot for the San Francisco-Manila direct flight. We fly from Guam, but from the continental U.S., it's something that we've been actively trying to do since 2019. And so we're thrilled that this upcoming winter, year-round, we're going to have a daily flight on our largest aircraft, the 777-300ER, into Manila from San Francisco. And we believe, again, that mega hub from San Francisco, picking up the local market, but also well connected to the rest of the U.S., it's going to be a great option for people getting to Manila and the surrounding area.
To continue to draw in the international business traveler, United's focus remains on sleep and comfort. And when we come back, a closer look at some of the new amenities Polaris class passengers can expect. Nothing says New York more than Saks Fifth Avenue, and the iconic retailer will continue its partnership with United's Polaris Business Class with a new line of custom luxury bedding featuring a large pillow and duvet designed by Claude Kameni, the winner of a Saks Accelerator program to identify up-and-coming designers. The African-inspired design is a tribute to her native Cameroon. Along with the bedding, the new Polaris sleep-themed amenity kits by Therabody feature premium skincare products designed to help travelers arrive revived. The kits include rejuvenating eye serum, facial spray, and hand cream. We spoke with a man behind Therabody, company founder and chief wellness officer, Dr. Jason Wursland.
I founded Theragun in 2007, which eventually evolved into becoming Therabody, which you kind of see what you have around us today. We started with Theragun, which is one device, and we moved to a whole wellness suite of offerings. And what you see here today is what we call our reset lounges. It's kind of a recovery center. You get a lot of different modalities in one roof with a lot of our wellness specialists to kind of help you through. Our brand has grown from one product, like I mentioned, a Theragun, to so many different science-backed wellness solutions, I like to say, but that's how we kind of came to who we are today, and this partnership we did with United is amazing.
Yeah, talk about that tie-up. I understand that there's going to be in the lounges in Newark and in San Francisco, but what can passengers expect?
Yeah, so in the Polaris lounges, right now, like you said, SFO and here in Newark, we're actually going to set up a reset lounge inside of this Polaris lounges. What you see here are these chairs. They're actually vibroacoustic therapy, so it's sound therapy. You put the headphones on, we have some goggles, you have some compression boots, and then those chairs kick back into zero gravity, and it's a 10-15 minute protocol. And as you said a second ago, when you travel, man, that feels like an hour worth of treatment. So that's the partnership in the lounges. We've also got a partnership with the airlines in the air, so we actually have an amenity kit that you'll get in the air that helps take care of your face, the dehydration you and I were talking about. So we're sort of showing up with United in those two areas right now.
Yeah, and talk a little bit more and elaborate a little bit more about why it's important for a passenger to be able to reset, as you call it.
Well, I mean, there's a large percentage of people when they book their flights, when they fly is important to them, how much sleep they get, whether or not they're going to be able to sleep on the airline. United has made a big push to be their wellness airline, and I think that's where they reached out to us, and we kind of fall in really in place with that messaging really well. So they want to be able to make sure you're taken care of from the time you check in, go to the lounge, get on the flight, land in where you're in your destination. And our focus really is on sleep, rest, beauty, taking care of your skin, and that's a great partnership with United. You know, it just worked out really well.
Jason, I just arrived from a long flight from Guam, and I'm at PWR, Newark Airport. So what do I have to look forward to?
So this is our sound lounger. It's a zero gravity chair. when I put you in it, I'll show you. But let me go through what you have in front of you. We have the goggles. We call those smart goggles.
Okay.
The idea is you put those on like ski goggles. They cover your eyes. There's massage, heat, and compression on your face.
Wow.
Vibration. It's this. A lot of science behind this, but this is just one of the components of this whole experience.
Okay.
We also have what we call jet boots, and these are compression boots that start at the toe and wind air pressure, squeezes your legs all the way up, and then it releases.
Wow.
And there's some really scientific validation on how important this is after a long flight. You understand the blood pools in your legs because you're just sitting for long periods of time. This helps facilitate the body's natural process of increasing blood flow from your feet up to your heart.
So you don't get that clotting.
Exactly,
Yeah,
yes.
sure.
A lot of science behind
Wow,
what this
yeah.
is.
That's
Very
important.
and pointing out, these are wireless. A lot of the products on the market that are like this have wires and hoses and tubes. This is wireless, so it's all self-contained. Bluetooth connection, super easy. You push one button and you're rocking.
Technology.
Yep,
Amazing.
nice and easy. So then you have the boots on your legs, the goggles on your face, and then we have what we call Theramind. So now you're listening to what you're feeling.
Wow.
So the chair vibrates with the frequencies in the song and the music, and we have a content piece called Theramind that actually drives the music, what you're listening to. So we've got it hooked up to the app on the phone. Let me just show you kind of what this does.
Okay.
So we tip this back, and now it's going to slowly tip into
Yeah, nice.
a zero gravity position.
Nice.
And then once you're in the chair, I'll turn the music on, you can just feel the chair. There we go.
Oh, yeah.
Put your hand on there, you can feel that.
Yeah. Nice.
So the idea here is we're helping the blood flow with your legs.
Yeah.
We've covered your eyes so you can take out a lot of the stimulus. There's some really cool science about how your heart rate goes down. And if you're traveling, you're always kind of on guard. Where's my bags? What time's my flight?
Right.
You're always like an elevated
anxious,
sense.
yeah.
Yes. What this is to bring your heart rate and your nervous system down to a calmer state. So you've got all your senses are covered. Your eyes are covered, your ears are covered, and your body, your full body is now experiencing the sound therapy. And the protocols for these are like 15 minutes. So you just mentioned coming over here from Guam, I said that's like a 3-day flight. But you
feels like it.
yeah, sure. But to get in this, take the pressure off your body with the zero gravity and have all of these different things happening to your body at once. You take the goggles off, you're in another world. You feel like you just got a 60-minute massage.
Wow.
That's really the point of all of our science. And you see, we have Theraguns set up behind here with the goggles. There's a lot of benefits when you incorporate all of these products together, and that's what we've done with this lounger.
That's amazing. It just sounds wonderful.
Yeah, you got to try it when we're off camera.
All right, that's our report for this week. Thanks for watching. And before we go, we'd like to show you some highlights of New York City in case you want to be a Polaris customer from Tokyo, Japan to Newark, New Jersey. These are some of the things you'll be able to enjoy in the Big Apple. We'll see you again next week. We are in Times Square, New York City, about 7 o'clock in the evening. Lots of people out here just having fun. I'm having fun just watching the people.
you.